Okay, so now we have seen the presence of endocrine glands. Okay, we will now talk about their types. Okay, now considering all the glands which are present in the human body, we can primarily divide them into two: the exocrine glands and the endocrine glands. Okay, so first of all, what are glands? Glands are basically structures which secrete certain enzymes or which secrete certain substances, okay, that may or may not directly go into the blood, but they help in those enzymes which are secreted or those hormones which are secreted help in certain processes. Okay, so we have two types of glands in our body. One is called the exocrine gland and one is called the endocrine gland. What is the exocrine gland? These are basically glands which have ducts. Okay, ducts means that they will secrete their enzymes at a particular place and the action will happen in that particular place itself. Okay, for example, salivary glands in our mouth cavity secrete saliva, and this saliva mixes with the food in our mouth itself. This saliva is not going down in our stomach and doing its activity, it is doing its activity in the mouth itself. Okay, so basically their region of production and the region of effect is almost the same, and that is the reason they have ducts. Okay, so exocrine glands are basically glands which are having ducts for example salivary glands, and endocrine glands are without ducts, which means that they produce their hormones. Endocrine glands are basically ones which produces hormones. These hormones which are produced are without ducts, which means that they directly mix with the blood. Okay, so their site of production and their site of effect are different. So I hope the terms exocrine and endocrine are clear. Exocrine, ductless, exocrine is basically glands with duct, and endocrine are glands without duct, ductless glands. Exocrine, their effects are produced at the site of production itself, and endocrine, their effects are produced somewhere else, and that's the reason you would need a medium for the hormones produced by endocrine glands to carry out to the site of effect, and that medium is basically blood. Okay, so that's how the blood gets carried. So a structure or a group of cells and tissues which makes hormones in our body is called endocrine gland. Okay, so this is basically a structure which makes hormones in our body, and this is called the endocrine gland. Okay, so some glands are both exocrine and endocrine. So there are certain glands which will behave both as exocrine and endocrine. How? We will understand. Okay, for example, pancreas. As we have seen, pancreas are located below the stomach. They will behave both as an exocrine gland and an endocrine gland. How? Pancreas release a hormone in the blood which is known as insulin. This is basically a hormone which controls the sugar levels in our body. So people who have a fluctuating sugar level or people who are diabetic, they have to at times infuse, they have to inject insulin into their body. Okay, so this is basically a hormone. So pancreas produce insulin as an hormone and they are released into the blood. So they are directly released into the blood, which means that they have to be ductless. This is a hormone. Okay, and pancreas also produce pancreatic juice. Pancreatic juice are released through duct into the alimentary canal. Okay, alimentary canal, which means our digestive system. Is this clear? Okay, so pancreas are behaving both as an exocrine and an endocrine gland. How? By secreting pancreatic juice through ducts into the alimentary canal, it is behaving as an exocrine gland, which means that the site of production and the site of effect are almost the same in this case. However, by secreting the hormone insulin into the blood through ductless glands, it is behaving as an endocrine gland. So again, it has two functions out here. Okay, testes, which are basically present only in human males. Okay, human males. So testes are again performing, these are glands which perform, or which are rather both exocrine and endocrine. Testes, how are they exocrine? They basically produce sperm or male cells, male sex cells, okay, which is basically released into the duct. Okay, again this will be ductless. So these are cells which are released, male sex cells which are released in the duct. Okay, so sperm cells, sperms basically are produced by males which are released into the duct. So that's how they behave as exocrine glands, the testosterone, and they also behave as the testes also behave as they release this hormone testosterone into the blood. Okay, and this is basically released into the blood. Testosterone, it is the male sex hormone. Okay, and this is released into the blood, directly into the blood. This is responsible for all the male secondary sexual characteristics which develop, okay, after puberty. So that is the testis. Okay, similarly ovaries which are located in females, okay, ovaries which are located in females, they behave as an exocrine gland by releasing ova or eggs or ovum into the ducts again, and that is how they will, these are the female cells, female sex cells. Okay, so these will be female sex cells which are released. Okay, and they also produce the hormone which is known as estrogen or progesterone. Hormone estrogen or progesterone is basically a female sex hormone which is released. Okay, so these are certain glands which will behave both as an endocrine and an exocrine gland. Again, exocrine glands are glands which are basically glands with a duct. Okay, they will secrete their enzymes at the same site wherein the effect needs to happen. Okay, so that's how the exocrine glands are. Endocrine glands are ductless glands. They will generally secrete hormones, and these hormones are carried by blood to the different parts of the body, throughout the body. So they are produced at one part and their effect is seen at a different part. Okay, so we have seen the entire endocrine glands. Now we are talking about these glands which are behaving both as exocrine and as an endocrine. So pancreas, testis and ovaries are the examples of glands in our body which behave both as an exocrine gland and an endocrine gland as well. Okay, so you can take a snapshot of the same. Okay, so these hormones which is basically produced by the endocrine glands, they basically will act as messengers, okay, between the nervous system and the organs of our body. So they will act as messengers between the, so they will increase or enhance the efficiency of the nervous system. Okay, so see, there are conditions during which our nervous system might not function with absolute efficiency. Okay, so the purpose of the endocrine system is to release certain hormones or certain chemicals which increase the message carrying capacity of our nervous system. Okay, whether it is message from the receptors to the brain or the spinal cord, or whether it is a message from the brain or the spinal cord to the motor neurons or to the effector muscles. Okay, the rate at which the messages are carried increases. Okay, so there are certain circumstances or there are certain requirements of the body when these hormones are released. For example, let's take the adrenaline glands. Okay, adrenaline glands, you must have heard that when a batsman kind of tries to, he comes on a hitting mode. Okay, he tries to hit every ball. So commentators would often say he is going through an adrenaline rush. Okay, adrenaline rush means that he has taken the situation to be an emergency situation. Okay, he is behaving as if he is under a panic mode. Okay, so what does this adrenaline rush mean, or what does the adrenaline glands mean? Okay, so adrenaline glands, as we can see, they are located above the kidneys. Okay, and you might have experienced this when you are when you have gone into a park wherein you have taken these escalators. Okay, when you are in a swing, when you coming down, you will feel that something kind of is tickling around your kidneys. Okay, you will feel that sensation. Okay, why? Because you are a little scared, although you will not fall out, it is properly clamped and all. Okay, but you will feel a little scared looking at the height, looking at the way in which you are coming down. Okay, and that is when the adrenaline glands produces the hormones. You can actually sense it. Okay, in times of, this is basically a fight or a flight mode scene. Okay, so what happens is that adrenaline glands secretes adrenaline hormones, which are very important, as it prepares our body to act at maximum efficiency during emergency situations like danger, anger, excitement, etc. Okay, so we have certain emergency situations. Let's say I have been chased by a dog, or let's say a pit bull, or let's say a ferocious dog, basically a ferocious dog breed, which if it happens to catch me, it's sure going to cause a grievous injury, and I'm running. Okay, I'm running for my life. Okay, so at that point of time, my muscles need to move very fast. I need to run very fast. Maybe when I am jogging, okay, understand this situation. Let's say I am going for an exercise in a park and I am jogging, or maybe I am walking very briskly. That is a different situation. That's not an emergency situation. Okay, an emergency situation is when I am running for my life. Okay, maybe I am chased by a very ferocious dog, and I have to save my life. Okay, so when this do or die situation happens, then what do the adrenaline glands do? How do they assist? So in this case, simple running is not going to help me. I have to have a lot of more energy pumped into my systems, into my muscles. Okay, my muscles have to be super efficient now. When I am running just for the sake of it, just for the sake of my health, it's a different issue. But when I am running for the sake of my life, it's a different issue. Okay, so in that case, my muscles have to be super efficient. Okay, I have to become almost a superhuman being in order to save myself, and that's when these adrenaline glands come into picture. So how do they assist this entire function? So when we are in a day-to-day life, when we are in an extreme danger situation, or when we are under extreme emotional outburst of anger, or when we are super excited, okay, so these are things which happen. Okay, it increases our heartbeat. It increases our heartbeat means that the heart is the breathing, or at the beating rate of our heart is a constant rate. Okay, but it increases. Why? See, heart is the only pumping organ in our body. What is it pumping? It is pumping blood. So what is it that is getting carried by blood? Obviously the oxygen and the nutrients part. Why is there a requirement of the blood to carry oxygen and nutrients to various parts of the body? So that more and more of respiration can happen, and so that more and more of energy can be produced. Okay, so now obviously when I am in a threatening situation, or when I am in an emergency situation, my body needs to exhibit that. Okay, my body needs to run very fast, or to take immediate and very responsive actions, or very very quickly the body needs to respond. And in that case, the breathing rate has to improve, the heartbeat has to improve. Why? Because it's at the end of the day the heart which is pumping blood, and the more blood it pumps to the different cells of our body, whether those are muscle cells or whether those are any other cell. So the muscle cells are in requirement of too much of energy at this point of time. And where is this energy coming from? By the oxidation of the nutrients. So oxygen and nutrients both are required by the muscle cells in huge numbers. So normal breathing, normal heartbeat is not going to pump in that volume of blood which will be required under these circumstances. So the heartbeat needs to increase. The heartbeat needs to increase. How do we do that? Can we do that by our own? No. So this will be assisted by the adrenaline glands, which will secrete the adrenaline hormone into the blood directly, and once it is secreted, automatically the heartbeat will increase. Okay, see, as I said, at times heartbeat will increase due to many situations. For example, I have seen people doing so much of rash driving. Okay, what do they get out of this rash driving? On their bikes, they are risking their lives with a huge speed, they are moving. What do they get out of it? Why are they doing this? They get that thrill and excitement. That's the adrenaline rush. Okay, they get that adrenaline rush, their heartbeat goes up. Why? Because they know they are going through a very dangerous situation. They are creating these dangerous situations. The dangerous situations are not happening normally in their lives. They are trying to create it. Okay, and in that trying to create it, they are getting excited about it. Okay, why? Because there is an adrenaline rush. Obviously the heart beats faster. Okay, and that's the thrill they want to feel. which is bad. Okay, I have seen so many people of your age driving bikes so ruthlessly and so carelessly. Okay, I don't know what is going to happen to them, but look at the amount of risk that they are putting the other people's lives into. See, we all go through dangers, but those are natural dangers that happen to us. Here it's like we are calling these dangers by our side. Okay, come hit me. Okay, that's a bad way actually, but this is what they want to feel, the thrill and excitement. Okay, you want to feel the thrill and excitement. There are many other ways to feel it positively. Why are you putting other people at risk? That's my message. Of course, we don't want to deviate from the topic here, but it increases our heartbeat. Generally in young people you will see this. Okay, they are driving their bikes very fast. They want to feel that thrill and excitement. Okay, so it increases our heartbeat. The reason why the heartbeat increases is because there is an impending danger to which the body needs to respond very fast and quickly. And if it needs to respond very fast and quickly, obviously the motor or the muscle cells need to react very quickly. And if they need to react very quickly, how will they react? If they get sufficient amount of energy. How will they get sufficient amount of energy? By the amount of blood that they are going to get from the increased heartbeat or the increased heart rate. Okay, it increases our breathing rate. Okay, why do we need to increase the breathing rate? Because ultimately the oxygen supply that is being supplied by the blood to the various organs of our body, that is going to come through breathing. Okay, when you are running very fast for your life, okay, you will see that the breathing rate increases. Okay, why? Because your body needs an extra amount of energy to cope up with the extra energy requirements. So respiration is the process which produces energy in our body, and the primary requirements of respiration are oxygen and nutrients. Okay, so nutrients are already there. Oxygen and the blood supply, these are being increased by the adrenaline glands. Now what is the other thing? As I said, respiration is a process which will need oxygen and nutrients. Okay, so nutrients here primarily means the carbohydrates, the stored carbohydrates, the stored glucose. So in our body, in the liver itself, glucose is stored for different purposes. Okay, so glucose is stored. We cannot keep on eating all the while, right? At times we might not be getting food. At that point of time, the glucose that is stored in the liver will obviously work to give us energy. Okay, we cannot have a process in which the entire day we keep on eating. We are any which ways eating 4 times in a day, but at times we have to skip meals or skip things, and that's when the liver is basically pumping in the stored glucose that is already there. During the times of emergency as well, okay, the adrenaline hormone, it of course pushes blood into our muscles, because the muscles are in huge requirement of energy, and the only way in which energy can be given to the muscles is by increasing the rate at which the oxygen and the nutrients are reaching the muscle cells. Okay, it causes the liver to put more of stored glucose into our blood. So more of stored glucose into our blood, it causes the liver to put more of stored glucose into our blood. This puts, why? Because at the end of the day, it is the glucose which will burn and produce energy. So it causes the liver to put more of stored glucose into our blood. That's how the things happen. Okay, so adrenaline glands, as you see, has a lot of important part to play during an emergency situation. We'll learn more about it and the other glands as well in the other slides. You can take a snapshot of the same. Okay, so we have this pineal glands, the complete coordination of the human body. So what we were studying was the adrenaline glands. The adrenaline glands help us or help our body to not only cope with emergency situations, like let's say we are being chased by a dog, or let's say some burglars have come into our house and they are trying to loot and plunder our house. We need to fight with them. Okay, something or the other. Okay, when we are in extreme danger, we need to have an immediate, quick and powerful response to that danger, which saves us. Okay, so these help in generating the rapid output of energy. So our body is in the requirement of immediate energy, and that too in huge quantities, and these adrenaline glands are the ones which help them in generating this energy. So they also help us in extreme emotional situations. For example, when you are very angry, okay, anger is basically something that generates due to some circumstances which are there in our life. Okay, so when you are extremely angry, you will feel that your body gets heated up. At some people, their faces turn red. Okay, you can actually look at their face and tell them that they are angry. Okay, why? Because the adrenaline glands is pumping more hormones into the blood. Okay, when so you try and understand this. When you hit anything, okay, out of you're just hitting it casually, and when you hit it by being angry, you will see the impact is far more when you are angry. Okay, let's say a boxing ring, when you hit it, okay, a boxing pouch, when you hit it just for the sake of practice, or maybe just casually, but when you hit it when you are angry, the impact is going to be much more. So anger is basically a destructive force. They say that a lot of hormones is generated when you are angry. The adrenaline glands secrete these hormones, and let's say you are not able to vent out that anger, these hormones try to settle down in your joints. Okay, and that's when in your old age you feel the pain. So generally you should vent out your anger, not on the person. I have seen certain psychologists practicing this or telling their patients to practice this. When you are angry and you don't want to vent it out, let's say the person with whom you are angry is your boss. If you vent it out there, you might lose your job. Okay, or maybe your teacher, or maybe some senior citizen. You don't want to vent out your anger, so go at the staircase or go at the terrace and just shout it out. Okay, just shout it out so that the extra amount of energy that is released is kind of used up. Okay, so that's how it is. So people generally say that getting angry is not bad, but venting it out wrongly is bad. Okay, so we can have a positive use of the extra amount of energy that is generated out of anger. Okay, so being angry is not bad, but using that energy positively is what makes sense. Okay, so there is a lot of amount of energy that is generated when we are angry, and that needs to be utilized well. Okay, so that's something that we have to kind of practice to use. Okay, we should not practice to not get angry, but rather we should practice to use the energy that is generated when we are angry to something that is positive. Okay, because we know that a lot of amount of energy is generated due to adrenaline glands pushing in the hormones forcibly in our blood when we are under an emotional outburst. Okay, all right. So the complete coordination of the human body is achieved by the nervous system and the endocrine system working together. So this is the complete. See, we are an evolved organism. So far, by and large, at this point of time, we are the most powerful species on earth, human beings, right? So the reason why we have developed so far is because of our extremely sensitive nervous system, and enhancing that is the endocrine system. Okay, so we have an extremely sensitive nervous and endocrine system which work together to give us the output for which we are known as human beings. Okay, so there is a part of the body for the coordination of the two systems of control are the hypothalamus and the pituitary glands. Okay, so if you look here, the hypothalamus and the pituitary glands, these are the ones basically which are responsible for the coordination, the effective coordination of the endocrine system and the nervous system. Both enhance each other. The endocrine system is the one which enhances the nervous system. Okay, so the perfect coordination is brought about by the hypothalamus and the pituitary region of our brains. Okay, I hope this part is clear. Now we'll try and understand the functions of the various glands and how effective they are and what are the things that they produce. You can in the meantime take a snapshot of the same. Okay, so we have here the as we discussed, the hypothalamus and the pituitary glands. If you look into this, the hypothalamus and the pituitary glands are the ones which are responsible for effective coordination between the nervous system and the endocrine system. Okay, so hypothalamus plays, so how does this contribution happens? Hypothalamus basically plays an important role in collecting information from other regions of the brain. Okay, and from the blood vessels which pass through them. Okay, from the blood vessels which pass through them. For example, if I see that I am crossing the road and a vehicle is coming from that end, so I have seen that, I have heard that as well. Okay, so the hypothalamus collects that information. Okay, and so there is an immediate action which needs to be generated. My brain will calculate whether it is whether it is feasible to cross the road or whether it is feasible to back out, because this vehicle is coming with a high speed and it will knock me down if it hits me, and I might lose my life and meet with a serious accident. Okay, so seeing a vehicle or even hearing a vehicle, all these are informations which are gathered by the hypothalamus, and then it is passed to the pituitary gland, which by its own secretions directly or indirectly regulates the activities of all other endocrine glands. So now the pituitary gland will basically regulate the activity of all other endocrine glands. All the other endocrine glands that we have, the adrenal glands, the parathyroid glands, okay, all these endocrine glands, they will be regulated by the pituitary gland. Okay, so hypothalamus collects the information, passes on to the pituitary gland, which basically activates all the other endocrine glands as per the requirement. Okay, whatever is the requirement, it will activate it. Okay, so hormones in our body are involved in growth, metabolic activities and reproduction. The hormones are involved in the growth of the body, they are involved in various metabolic activities, and they are also involved in reproduction. Okay, so if you see the hypothalamus gland and the pituitary gland, this gathers information, this basically more or less activates the endocrine system. So what does this do? Okay, pineal gland. The function of pineal gland is still not known to us in detail. Okay, there are a lot of meditations. According to Hindu mythology, they say that it's the third eye. Okay, if this gets activated, then you will be in a different platform altogether. Okay, so in different meditation systems, there are techniques by which they say that it can activate our pineal gland. So pineal gland is the function of this gland is still unknown to scientists. Okay, this is still a mystery. Okay, pineal gland is basically a gland which is the function of this is still unknown. Okay, but we have a lot of meditations which actually focus on activating the pineal gland. I am not fully aware as to what happens after the activation of pineal gland, or whether it actually gets activated, but there are certain mythologies and certain meditation systems which focus on activating the pineal gland. Okay, so one of the common mythologies in Hindu is the Kundalini chakra, which is a meditation process in which the pineal gland gets activated. So there are different things. We generally stick to science, and since we are studying science, we need to understand the organs and their functions as well. So the function of pineal gland is still unknown, but it is still included in the endocrine system, being a gland. Okay, so this was pretty much about the endocrine glands, what they are and how they behave. Each one of them we are going to study in detail. Okay, you can take a snapshot of the same.